I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. Preyrs are an alternative rock and metal group hailing from Belfast, Northern Ireland. The band consists of Amy Montgomery on vocals, Micheal Mormecha on drums, Nolan Donelly on guitar, and Ciarán McGreevy on bass. This is not a metal band. This is a band who have the metal aesthetic with a rock sensibility and accessibility that will take them far. Already lined up to support New Model Army on their upcoming European dates. Okay, younger listeners might not know who they are anyway. The band are due to release their debut album, The Wounded Healer, on the 14th of November via Pelagic Records. And after hearing their first single, I wanted to dive into the world of Preyrs. So, I am speaking with Amy and Micheal. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
So let's start with a little of your background, as you've already been doing this for a while before, not forming the band, but before making it a band with the same people you were doing this as a solo project with.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been doing music for a long time. I'm actually never really sure exactly where to start with it, because I could go back very early. So I naturally gravitate towards like the first time I ever stood on stage, which was when I was like 8 years old or 9 years old, with a microphone the size of my head, and with shaky hands, and with obviously still a love of singing and of music even back then. That then evolved into getting my first guitar when I was about 14, starting to write music, and also going busking on the streets of Belfast and Dublin from the age of 15 or 16. And around the age 17, 18, then I met Micheal, and we started to record what was my first few singles. And yeah, from there on, then it kind of just evolved into playing the two of us, and then we added another person and then another person, and now that has evolved into our recent kind of rebranding of the heavier side of the music to Preyrs. We are super excited because this now opens up a whole other canvas for us to explore and experiment with in the heavier side of things.
It seems there's a very strong busking scene for young people in Ireland, because I've spoken to a couple of other Irish solo artists, and they all started busking on the streets in Dublin and Cork and wherever, and it seems that young people are given a really good opportunity for busking in Ireland. Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also, I would say for me and for a lot of other young musicians, if you're under the age of 18, there's not very many places you're going to go with your guitar, and one place that you're kind of half allowed to let loose is on the streets. So it definitely has created this lovely little scene, especially in Belfast, that I found great friendships through busking on the streets, and obviously a whole lot more than just friendships too, in learning how to not only project my voice from one whole side of the street to the other, but also the really interesting people that you get to meet when you're busking on the streets is unmatched in terms of interesting stories, life stories, and hard life stories too, that if you allow yourself to be open to listening to, then can all influence your future self, and of course your future songwriting too.
So what made you want to turn this into a band rather than continue as a solo artist? Because it is essentially the same people that you were already working with.
An obvious change in direction in the music that naturally happened when we went to Canada to write this album. What came out of the writing session was a lot heavier, slightly darker, more full band-esque music than anything that was ever written before. And yeah, I think we just thought it would just make sense to put it under its own name, especially if the future music of what we were going to write with this project is going to be in the same kind of vein as that, or even, again, opening us up to experimenting maybe perhaps in the future with even going even heavier with my own solo project. I mean, of course, you always have flexibility and you can do whatever you like with your music, and I know that, but everything that I had done up to that point under my own name had been such a wide variety of music as well, like piano ballads, folk kind of rock songs, blues songs, like a whole range of stuff. My music had always taken me on quite a natural path of just what was feeling good to create. But with Preyrs, it's kind of just a more one-directional, so that we can be more flexible with what we're doing, if that makes sense. In the placing it in what it is, it gives us more freedom to experiment more deeply. And I mean, we just love the name and think the name really perfectly reflects the music too.
There was that scary aspect of rebranding after building on Amy's name for so long as well, but it definitely helps, industry wise. It helps people like to pigeonhole, and an agent or a promoter like to know what they're dealing with. And as Amy said, in this 21st century world of YouTube, if a promoter, you're trying to get on a metal or rock festival and they end up, the first thing they hear is a beautiful piano ballad, they're like, okay, no, that's not for us. But then we're like, no, really, we're a 4-piece band, we're really heavy and you're going to love it. Made the job of the agent a lot easier. And in fact, that was nicely proved whenever quite early on we managed to score Bloodstock Festival in the UK, which is one of the largest independent metal festivals. And they liked the Preyrs, the live session that we shot, and the music, and so yeah, that was a nice sort of proof of the pudding of, okay, this is the right decision in a way to place it in the industry.
Actually, that brings us nicely into the next question, which is, I mentioned in the intro that the band is neither rock nor metal. How would you describe your sound if you had to pick a subgenre or create one?
There's two different subgenres or creation of genres that I would use. One is holistic heavy rock, and the other one is a little bit of ritual heavy rock. But again, it's kind of hard to get something that actually pinpoints what we do.
Yeah, because a little bit like the last question, before Preyrs, we found ourselves sometimes being the heaviest band at a particular type of festival. In fact, we even ended up at some folk festivals and looking at each other going, what are we doing here?
I did see Cambridge Folk Festival listed as something you'd done, yeah.
Actually, I mean, that was 2019. There was a bit of a softer, a lot of a softer sound going on, but we were definitely the black sheep. But
we were very heavy for that festival.
Very heavy. But I think in a world of acoustic guitars, sometimes that can just land you in the right place. And then because you're something different that weekend, I mean, that weekend we sold out of all of our CDs. I think we sold 100 CDs for an indie band. That was, we could have sold more. There was a queue out the door, and I think a lot of people were just like, wow, what is this and why are you here? But I want it. Yeah. And then equally fast forward to Bloodstock, and we're looking at each other going, oh God, are we really supposed to be here? Are we going to be heavy enough? Because, every other band is double kick and drop C, chug, chug, chug. And we're going, oh shit, turn the gain up a little bit, see if we can get away with this. But it was equally well received for being that bit just maybe unexpected. And
so let's talk about the upcoming album, The Wounded Healer. The theme of the album is using past hurt to rise up and conquer, or words to that effect. Tell us a bit more about the thinking behind the writing of these songs.
Well, first of all, I would say the thinking about the writing of these songs is only one half of what it is. The other half, and probably the most important half, is the feeling behind these songs and actually learning to differentiate between thinking and feeling. Yeah, figuring out the difference of those two things within yourself. The thinking behind the Wounded Healer and everything it holds is, as you say, using past experiences, past traumas and past difficult kind of moments in your life, and learning hopefully that they can actually be the source of who you can become if you so let them be that. And in the so letting them be that comes the learning to feel your own emotions in order to process them. And then the process comes of rising up above them and transforming them into something a lot more powerful and wisdom filled. This process can relate to your individual self, but then in the deep process that I definitely went through during the songwriting process, I very quickly was realizing that the individual self is very much reflected in the collective, because our collective is made up of individuals. And therefore, when you're going to try to understand the psyche of one, then you have to really look at the psyche of many, and vice versa, which is kind of in the world of Carl Jung's work around, well, I mean, all of his work. He works greatly with the collective unconscious, as he would call it. And one of his archetypes is called the wounded healer or the wounded physician, which is specifically about this, like using your greatest wounds in order to be able to heal. Although in his archetype, the wounded physician is a little bit unlucky, because he can heal everybody else, but he can never heal himself. And I suppose with this album, I would say that the aim is trying to kind of put a plaster over that part of the archetype of the wounded healer, and try to inspire people that they can at least be on the path to healing themselves and also understanding the world around them. And I don't think it would be fair to not mention the also highlighting of injustices in the world too, because all of these things are within the wounds of the world, and within the wounds of the collective, and also within the wounds of self. So that is, in a nutshell, some of the themes of the album. I mean, we could talk for weeks about the theme of the wounded healer, because there's many layers to it, but for now, that's it in a nutshell.
Preyrs is where healing and rage collide in perfect harmony is a quote from your website. I assume that's sort of indicating that these songs are mainly about you and your own life struggles. It's quite a personal album, maybe.
A few of the songs are very related to my own life. A few of the songs are related to the world, and especially injustices done to other people in different countries. And a few of the songs are trying to understand somebody else. So again, it's this kind of mixture of things, but lyrically, I mean, some songs I've written most of the lyrics, some songs we're pitching in, both of us. So I would say the songs that I have, like Wave of Wisdom, for example, is a very personal song, as well as maybe Bring Your Bruises as well. Yeah, some of the songs would definitely be inspired by my personal life story, and by that I mean specifically inspired or influenced by the process of grief and loss after losing my mum when I was 16. This, I believe, will always be weaved through my songwriting, whether that is me songwriting alone or in a group. I think the emotion behind losing someone so close and such an important, maternal figure so young will always be so powerful that it will definitely always, I believe, seep into the songwriting. Yeah.
Where would you advise a first-time listener to start with your music? If you had to pick one song that you think is a great introduction or example in particular, what would it be?
I suppose where we've gravitated towards the first couple of singles, I think there's 3 out now.
4, I think.
4, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's we were talking about that yesterday, where, we might be super close to a particular track, but it's interesting to let somebody hear, and a track that we felt was maybe just like an album track. A couple of people keep coming back on this particular song, maybe saying that's their key moment in the record. But I guess right now you have to start with one of the singles. Zeros, Ones and Lies encapsulates a lot of the live energy of what Preyrs is, I think. But Wave of Wisdom has a bit more of the lyrical, spiritual sentiment and sort of empowerment and sentiment around it. So
Oh, it's
Well,
such a hard
yeah,
question.
Zeros
I
is
don't
pissed
know.
off, and Wave will like maybe just empower you a bit more. So.
Yeah, you can listen to half of Zero's Wanton Lies and half of Wave of Wisdom to get you started.
Fair enough. The album finishes on a very positive note with Life is Kind, which I think is very upbeat compared to a lot of the lyrics of the previous songs. It's kind of this huge anthemic ending to the album. Was that the aim when you put the track listing together?
Yeah, it was the aim. We felt
The
like
Black Sheep song.
honestly, like Life is Kind, maybe in a way doesn't sound like it belongs on this album, but also after running through the themes, running through the album, it actually completely makes sense that something is on the album that feels like it's not supposed to be there, in the name of contradictions in life and in the name of letting two things exist at the same time, be that the most painful, aggressive songs, and a song like Life is Kind, which is a song that is laying everything down bare. And although I have realized the troubles, and we've realized the troubles in the world and in ourselves, still choosing to believe in what is ahead in life and in life itself, because actually the thread that runs through life is neither positive nor negative. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. And so it's kind of speaking to that, and also maybe touches on the themes of, if I ever go away, I'll be right by your side, forever at bay. If I ever drift away, remember me for what I'm about to say. It's like that ever-present, omnipresent energy, self, soul, spirit that could last forever if you really wanted to. And so it's the choice of believing in that even after realizing the shitty things in the world.
So you seem to have toyed with TikTok and then lost interest. Is that the case? That happens with so many bands I speak to.
Well, actually, if you go to TikTok after this interview, you will find a little snippet of a song that you will know which song it is, but it's one of the unreleased songs on the album. And yes, you're right. I was trying my best at TikTok until I realized that this is a dead end street. But I've regained my faith slightly, and I'm willing to pick it back up again in the name of gaining 21st century fans or young audiences. Yeah,
it's the never-ending, or the perpetually moving goalpost of social media for the 21st century musician. Which, if it's not TikTok, it's Discord, and if it's not this, it's something else. And like, everybody's chasing at the same time, resisting, because you're trying to be like, why do we have to do this? We just want to play our guitars. And the amount of time you spend, this stuff is insane, and ultimately detrimental probably for a lot of people, but also great if you go viral for 15 seconds.
So there's a YouTube video on your channel, Amy, entitled Debut Album Journey, Reflections on Songwriting and the Apartment/Studio Setup. It made me wonder, because of a couple of things you said on it, if you prefer the creative process or performing live more.
Oh, firstly, I want to mention how interesting it is that you find those videos, because not a lot of people know that they're there, and not a lot of people know that the album that those videos speak of is actually the Preyrs, the Wounded Healer album. So that's nice. And my answer to that is I absolutely always 100% prefer performing live. The creative process is painful. It's painful for me. I have honestly never enjoyed, and I know this sounds awful, but I've never enjoyed songwriting. It requires me, I'm kind of like an all or nothing kind of person, and if I'm songwriting, I have to go to the deepest depths of my pain and sorrow in order to pull out the song. So that makes it a really quite a turbulent process for me, which is fine. If I'm in the mood to go through a whole inner transformation, then it's all right. But no, I prefer performing live for sure. I like to run around and get sweaty and meet a lot of nice, cool people in the audience.
The latest video for Into the Blue is following the trend of sort of black and white videos that's coming back at the moment. Was that a conscious decision, or just an aesthetic you thought was pleasing?
what is conscious and what is not?
I'm gonna say absolutely yes, because ever since signing with Pelagic, where we naively thought, oh, it'll get a little less busy now that we've got a bit of a team behind us, but it's the complete opposite, and we've been and the New Model Army tour looming as well. So, as previously discussed as well, the full-time job that content creating is, and for various platforms and album cycle and everything. So we were scrambling a little bit to find some sort of video presence for Into the Blue, but luckily one of the things we did have was a live session filmed from Studio Wong in Berlin, which was a studio we did a couple of tracks in, but somehow that footage got lost. But one guy managed to have one of his cameras worth of his one angle. And so we got that synced up there with the track, but the decision to go black and white was that the studio was this real 60s groovy, like bright orange with all these swirly patterns. So if you look closely at the video again, you'll see, if you imagine that video, it looks like something straight out of a Stanley Kubrick, like shining sort of the hotel colors. So although the vibe of that would be good, but just it's a little bit groovy for the feel of Preyrs and Into the Blue. So it was like, that black and white button, please. Yeah, let's go. So
that's not to say, like, we both are really visual people. Like, we love to put visuals to songs, like we did with Wave of Wisdom. And we do have a lot of really cool ideas for a few of the songs on this album. So we will do it eventually, but it's just, that's another thing that we are also fiercely DIY in. Like the Wave of Wisdom video, we did that completely ourselves. And yeah, like hanging from the ceiling with a phone, like all of that was shot on a phone. So when we have the time after this next little period, I'm very sure that everybody will get to see the actual official video visuals that we will have for these tracks.
The band have already had a taste of big festivals this summer, playing Bloodstock, which you mentioned earlier. How was that?
Bloodstock was so much fun. It was definitely not only the heaviest festival I've ever played, but the heaviest festival I have ever been at. And it was really, really interesting and lovely to get an insight into that community and actually feel so welcomed as well. I was, of course, all kinds of emotions before that festival. I didn't know at all what way Preyrs was going to be received, but luckily it went down really well. And actually, I've never felt so free to be so feral on stage than at a metal festival like Bloodstock. We also got to see a few really amazing bands like Ministry and Gojira.
Yeah, we arrived in Fear Factory. We're just finishing Lynchpin, which is a song from my teenage years, and that set the tone for the weekend, to see like Machine Head and Amy experienced her first circle mosh pit for Gojira. So that was exciting.
I nearly died, like
phone in hand.
No, I had a tin of Guinness. I'm sorry, all my Irish friends, I know drinking Guinness out of a tin is not good. I know it already. But I had a tin of Guinness in one hand and my like black sloppy hat on, and by the time I came out of it, my tin of Guinness was like this size. And my hat was gone, and then we luckily found it again. It was
picture the end of the Lion King where Mufasa dies and he has to jump into the stampede to save Simba, but only Simba is a black hat this time, and there's dust going everywhere, and I'm like, I'll be back, hold my phone, I'm going in.
So next up, you're supporting New Model Army in November and December across Europe. How did that come about?
A nice mutual connection between our German agent and their manager. They've known each other for a long time, and Barry put us forward, introduced our music. So we actually did the first tour under Amy's name last year in the UK and established that connection with the guys and their team. And it's funny, the tour that we're about to embark on was supposed to be last November, but their drummer Michael had a spinal injury and had to push everything back. But that's has worked beautifully for us because that tour starts right as the Preyrs record drops. So that's really cool launching platform for us and the record.
Yeah, it's a really unique situation to have supported them with my name, and then 1 year later, because of everything that has happened, now playing it with Preyrs.
Yeah, they were cool to change the name on the posters.
They were really,
thank you, Model Army.
They were really, really cool about that, and I'm so excited for this tour. Like, it's been what I've been really looking forward to all year, and I think because there's that element of knowing what it's going to be like touring with this band, and I really had a special connection with Justin, the singer from New Model Army. And I think he had a special connection with the band, with our band as well, from the few words of wisdom that he does say.
Obviously, New Model Army have been going since the early 80s, so you've got a lot of experience to learn from when you tour with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's no better way of learning something that you're passionate about, and learning it from every angle and every kind of experience of another who is older and wiser, hopefully, and a lot more experience. So we did have a couple of nights just kind of questioning Justin towards the end of the tour, and him telling us some stories from touring for so long, and kind of what to watch out for, what to hold close to your heart, these kinds of things. So it really is a huge honor. Like, we're really grateful for this.
So after this, do you have any other shows planned for next year yet?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of shows planned for next year. To be exact, there are about 20 shows booked for Germany only in March. So the whole of March will see us all over Germany, and one show in Switzerland. April, half of April will be in France, and hopefully May will be UK and Ireland. We are actually really looking forward to coming to Scandinavia soon, when the time is right and when some audience has been built up there. There was some interest for some shows in Denmark, if I remember, later in the year, next year. But apart from that, we also have Planet Rock's Winter's End Festival in January, and hopefully what will be a list of festivals that we don't quite know yet. But yeah, there's a lot of shows booked.
So the final question: what music are you listening to at the moment that listeners of the podcast may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
One record that actually, maybe it's different for you or other people, but it's rare that a record grabs me now that commands a listen and then straight in a second listen. And when that does happen, it's so exciting. Obviously, we're in the era of discovering singles and bands quickly, whether it's having a doom scroll or you're cruising on Spotify or whatever. But I've been a long time fan of Soulwax, who came from a very alt-rocky background in the late 90s and through into this kind of fusion dance rock thing. Their new record, All Systems Are Lying, is super, super cool. It's like heavy dance, like real drums with really dirty synths, always very melodic. So yeah, done that record about 4 times now in the past 3 weeks and absolutely love it.
I mean, I was in Morocco a few weeks ago. I love to experience other cultures and other countries and people, of course. So I've been listening to a lot of, I go through phases of like, I love the kind of genre of Middle Eastern electronic music. So I listen to a lot of music that pulls samples of really, really old Arabic songs and makes them into current dance songs. On the flip side of that, I've also been picking up my love again for Ciarán Van Etten. Love Ciarán Van Etten, she's great. And as well, I've been listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin because at the end of November, I'm guest vocaling at an event in the Ulster Hall, a big prestigious venue in Belfast, at a celebration of Led Zeppelin's first ever time that they played Stairway to Heaven, which was in Belfast, live. So I'll be singing 2 songs at that. So therefore, I've been listening to a lot of Zeppelin, but it's always changing. There's sprinkles of like Gojira, and there's sprinkles of it can be like, I don't know, binaural beats or Indian flutes followed by Gojira.
So for anyone wishing to find out more, your website is Preyrs.com, which is Preyrs.
Yeah.
And you're on Instagram, Facebook, and Bandcamp, and TikTok sometimes.
Yeah, I'm back on TikTok as of last night, so
Right.
better run there if you want to hear a snippet of an unreleased song.
So The Wounded Healer by Preyrs is released on the 14th of November via Pelagic Records. It's available both physically and on all streaming platforms, or it will be available physically, won't it? There is a vinyl.
Oh yeah. There's a lovely vinyl CD and of course digitally as well, but we would much rather you buy a vinyl at or one of our shows, hopefully.
Yep. Amy and Michael, thank you for coming on the pod, and I'm looking forward to seeing some positive reviews when the album comes out.
Thank you so much. So am I, hopefully.